Okay, one simple method to get your 5K time as fast as possible. So let's aim for a sub 20 minute 5K, right? So what I would do is get fit. So start to put some structure into your running. What I mean by that is get used to weekend being a long run, and that might start from whatever your long run is at the moment. So if you can currently run 8K, that's your long run, and then add 1 kilometer per week. Very basically, add next week 9 kilometers, next week 10 kilometers, next week back to 8 kilometers. A week after that, 11 kilometers. So we're moving forward 3 weeks at a time, 8, 9, 10, and then we're going back to 8, and then we're going to 11, 12, 13, back to 10, and then so every third week, you're freshening your body up. So that would be your weekend long run. So that's going to improve your stamina, your endurance. It's going to mean that once you get to your 5K race, you can race it as opposed to just trying to survive, yeah? The other structure, so midweek interval session. You want to be doing a sustained period of intervals so that you can race as fast as possible the 5K. So let's split that up and see what it looks like, right? So very simply, so 5 kilometers in 20 minutes is 1 kilometer in 4 minutes. So let's start with 250 meters, yeah? And let's be aiming for 250 meters in 1 minute, right? So let's do 8 to 10 250 meters, and that's your starting point. So let's say 10 times 150 meters, so almost 10 times 1 minute with 1 minute rest in between, and see how that feels. So what we're doing is we're essentially starting where we want to be. So you can run 1 minute at a time with 1 minute rest in between. And by rest, I mean standing around, trying to get your heart rate as low as possible. So in through the nose, out through the mouth, and trying to look at your watch, see what your heart rate is, trying to get your heart rate from where it was during the interval back down as much as possible. So I like to get my heart rate below 130, back into zone 1. Doesn't matter what zone it is, but back as low as possible, ready to go again. And then when you look afterwards, you'll see your heart rate like this. So during the interval, recovering. During the interval, recovering. And what you want is those valleys to be as low as possible. And you will see over time, like initially, the whole thing will be like that. So your peaks will be higher each time because your body is like, what the hell am I doing? And your valleys will be also as high as possible because you won't have the fitness in order to recover between those. But as the weeks pass, and then the next session, for instance, might be something like 7 times 2 minutes at 20 minutes 5K pace. So 7 times 2 minutes, hopefully we should get 7 times 500 meters at 20-minute 5K pace. So how does that look? Yeah, so it'll look exactly the same in terms of the graphs. Hopefully, again, 60 seconds in between. So you're doing double the amount of distance. You're only running 500 meters. You're only running for 2 minutes, and you've got a minute in between to recover, to get that heart rate. And then over the weeks, that interval session, I always do it on a Wednesday. That interval session will start to feel more manageable. What you can do to make that more manageable and to add more speed is keep doing the long run and keep that moving up, and then gradually bringing it back every third week. So your speed endurance is naturally going to improve because your endurance and your stamina is improving. But add in a speed session as well. So do some really short stuff like 80 or 100 meter repetitions, where you just basically off the back of an easy run, you're doing 8 times 100 meters or 10 times 80 meters accelerations, so controlled, and you'll find that they are much faster than your interval midweek session. So you're going like maybe 320 per kilometer, 330 per kilometer. You're able to accelerate for just a few seconds at that. What that's going to do is your body is going to be like, bloody hell, what am I doing? Like it's running faster, but it's teaching your body to run as fast as it possibly can over the ground. So you'll learn that your glutes are suddenly much more engaged. You've got to use the power muscles to move forward because your calves don't cut it anymore. Your arms are driving more. So that style and that speed will cross over into your interval sessions and will have a really positive effect on those intervals. The next session after the 7 times 2 minutes might be something like 5 times 3 minutes. So you're only 6 times 3 minutes or 7 times 3 minutes. So you're only doing 3 minutes at a time, but hopefully in that time you're covering 750 meters. And now you're on week 3, your long run's gone up to 10K, for instance. Your midweek interval session is 5 times 3 minutes or 6 times or 7 times 3 minutes. And you're doing that at the pace that you're going to do the sub-20 5K. So all the time you're working at that pace, and naturally, as you add in that speed work once a week, join them. See, he's annoyed because he's on week 3 and he's only up to 7 times 3 minutes. So as the speed work makes your interval sessions faster, then all of a sudden that 5K race pace, that 4 minute per kilometer, that 20-minute 5K is going to seem so much easier because you're running so much faster than that when you do the speed work for short periods of time. And you've got the endurance, the stamina complementing it. So you've got, from both sides, you've got a positive effect that you're having. So naturally, what you're going to see over the weeks is when you're doing, say the next session is 5 times 4 minutes, you're not going to do 5 times a kilometer. You're not going to run at the pace that you're going to run the sub-20 minute 5K in. You're going to go faster than that. So you're going to start getting comfortable at maybe 3:45 per kilometer, 3:40, 3:30 per kilometer. You're going to start getting comfortable at that. So what does that mean? It means that's exactly where you want to be. Say that's week 4, week 5, week 6, and that will come naturally as a product of your long run. You're hitting that and you're doing that, and you're progressively getting you're progressively getting longer at that and adding more endurance, more stamina. Speed work is feeding nicely into your interval sessions as well. That key lactate threshold, that interval session midweek, is working you towards that sub-20 minute 5K, so that as you're getting faster in those intervals and you're covering more distance, for that, instead of 4 minute per kilometer pace, you're going faster than that, and that's starting to become comfortable for 3 minutes, for 4 minutes, for 5 minutes, for 6, up to 10 minutes, and maybe beyond. Then once you get to your race day, you're not just trying to survive. You're not just trying to get to the finish line in just under 20 minutes. You're able to actually finish strong. You're able to race it. And that's super important. So just to break that down, the way I would attack it, if I was trying to run a sub 20 minute 5K, let's say this was I had 4 months, I'd spend the next 4 to 5 weeks getting fit. So I'd put structure, the long run at the weekend, I'd start where I was starting. So if my run was 8K at the moment, I'd start that on 8K, and I'd gradually add a kilometer every week. You don't need to do a massive long run for a 5K, but that will improve your endurance. Your midweek interval session, as I've said, I'd start with minutes, like reps of minute, 10 times a minute. Next week, 2 minutes. Next week, 3 minutes. Next week, 4 minutes. Next week, 5 minutes. Don't overcomplicate it. Don't overcomplicate it. Running is super simple. You just need the structure in place. Then I add the speed work in maybe week 2 or week 3. So I'd be start with 10 times 80 meter accelerations. Complete control of my body. That's going to feed back into the interval session. The long run, the stamina is going to feed back into the interval session as well. So that interval session is going to be the key area where I'll get my super compensation in order to be faster and ready to hit that sub 20 minute 5K. And then 10 weeks out from that 5K time trial or race, whatever it is you can set yourself, ideally a race, you'll love it if it's a race, because people are going to carry you along, it's going to seem easy for the first 3K, then you're going to hit it hard. Then I'd start to go really specific. So I'd start to say, okay, I'm going to do 6 times a kilometer at 3:30 per kilometer pace, which is about 10% faster than your 4 minute pace. If you think 4 minutes, 4 times 60 seconds is 240 seconds. It's just under 10% faster than your race pace, what you're aiming for. And then if you can put 6 times kilometer together at 3:30, you're almost there. So then you've got 8-9 weeks to play with specific training in order to get through that. Now I wouldn't leave it until race day to see if I've actually got that. I'd be running, okay, so the first target would be, let's see if we can run 2 kilometers at 8 minutes, and you're going to do that during the training session. Can I run 3 kilometers at 12 minutes, in 12 minutes, so 4 minutes per kilometer? Can I hold that for 3 kilometers? 4 kilometers, can I do 16 minutes for 4 kilometers? And then come the race day, that goal that was a goal because it's such a round number, 20 minutes and 5K, all of a sudden you're absolutely smashing it out of the park because you've done the training properly and you've added the components that you need to add. You added in the speed. Yeah, that's feeding into the interval session, and that long run, that endurance and stamina is also feeding into the interval session. So everything's feeding into the interval session, that lactate threshold session, which is raising your level, your ability to go over the ground faster, put as much effort in as you can without going into the red, and get the 5K right. So you're going to come out with a much faster 5K than 20 minutes. So it's a bit of a trick. That 5 minute, that 20 minute goal, that round number, forget about it because you're going to be able to go quicker.